Things aren't really changing. Where should I go from here?
What's up, Tyler?
Brannon, what's going on, man?
Not much. I want to say a couple words to you, see how you respond.
Okay.
Pro wings.
Pro wings, man. We were at dinner. When was that? Last night. We were at dinner last night at mom and dad's place. They're back in their house where they were gone for a couple years, and while we're sitting around the dinner table, dad gets up and disappears for a minute. And he comes back. I don't know why he's held on to these for so long, but he comes back with a pair of pro wings and he's written in pen on the toes. They're like just hammered, like the
Their
toes are all worn
shoes.
out, the
Oh,
shoes are worn down. Anyone who remembers, like back in the day, pro wings were like Payless Shoe Source's banner, like brand. And Payless was like where you'd go in and it was always buy one, get one free. And
and they were like $5.
the shoes were made out of like plastic, you know. And so dad pulls out these shoes and it says Tyler 1988 and it was like this it looked like a fake pair of Air Jordans with the Velcro strap on the bottom and they were just hammered and it brought back so many childhood memories last night
It was
just
a
thinking about
it was a trauma trigger for me. I
you had a
remember
trauma trigger.
I looked at all the kids with like their Reebok pumps and their
Back
Nike
then
flights and their
it was Nike
like
Flight, Reebok
Converse,
Pump and Air
the
Jordans
Air Jordans,
and then
and
we were rolling the Pro Wings.
then we came on with the Pro Wings, and we needless to say, we weren't the cool kids. Yeah,
Brought back a tons of
yeah,
childhood
but it
memories
built
last night.
character. It built
Oh,
character. Those Pro Wings, and
tons of childhood
man,
memories.
Tyler Hammer's shoes, like
Oh
those Pro
man.
Wings took it pretty well.
Yeah, yeah.
They took it pretty well for the money.
I'm really hard on shoes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know why dad held on to those. That's been what 1988. So I was 10 years old then. And he's held on to them in his garage till like 2025. Like
that's a little, yeah. But
I'm scared of what's going to happen when they die and we have to clean out their
oh,
garage.
I know. But those shoes are like strapping a piece of plastic on your feet. It's crazy. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
I was laughing saying you could slip on concrete just because it's straight plastic. So,
Yeah. It's funny. It's
anyways,
funny that as you're talking, Brannon, our caller is actually like nodding his head like, yeah,
I
I know
I
pro
had them too.
wings. Yeah. So, yeah. So let's jump into it, Brannon. We have, I think, third time caller now, whether it's by Micah or Buzz. We've got you on for the third time. We're glad to have you back. Why don't you catch us up on where your life's been and then get into your question? We'll roll with it.
Sure, guys. Thanks again for letting me be on the show. Since we spoke last time, little recap. My wife has, admitted that she needed some professional help to deal with my past porn usage and all the goodies that go with that. Um, since we last spoke, she has made and not kept two appointments with a therapist. First time, one of the kids had something going on, and I can kind of excuse that. Yeah, the kids, didn't have enough time in the schedule to be able to make the appointment that day and had to cancel it. Second time, she had a dentist appointment, a checkup or cleaning or something like that in the same town, just across town from it, and that's about an hour away from the therapist. And she got done with the checkup at the dentist, and she said, and I just didn't feel like going, so I didn't, and drove back home. And I asked, so when are, and it's like a month later, or when I was checking up, hey, how'd that go? How'd that appointment go? And she was like, I haven't rescheduled it. I feel like third time will be, three strikes and you're out. And I don't want to schedule one if I don't know I can keep it. And I don't know when I can keep it because, I had my oldest daughter graduated last month. She wanted to wait to get through the graduation. My two boys are playing Little League baseball. She wants to wait till baseball season gets over with. And that wraps up this weekend with All-Star tournament. And she has, as far as the intimacy part, any human affection over than just a hi, good morning, give her a, shoulder side hug kind of thing. Kiss on the forehead when I'm leaving the door, walking out the door in the morning. It has not progressed at all. I mean, beyond anything that she would give one of her brothers. And I know that it's going to keep going like this until I my foot down, make a standard, say and say this has got to change. Even my two older kids at 18 and 15 are like, why are you letting her do you this way? Why are you sitting here taking this? My older daughter says she knows that she's just straight up says that she knows that divorce is down the pipe if things don't change, and she's already made peace with that being the best thing there is. My son is like, you know how to fix this, don't you? You know, just you need to end this. I mean, he straight up told his mom the other day, she's, I'm gonna grow up being one of these men that hates women, and guess who's gonna be responsible for that? Straight to
Ooh,
her face.
jeez.
Yeah, and it's just, at some point, I know I'm going to have to just say, look, you're going to have to make a commitment to doing some work on this relationship if you want this thing to go, because I can't just sit here and keep taking it and taking it and taking it and sit back like your little personal emotional punching bag and I've kind of being that I was the betrayer in the relationship with pornography addiction. I've kind of gotten in my mindset that it's all my fault, so I just have to take what comes. But I've kind of gotten past that, and I'm in a healthy place now, and I I deserve love. I know that, and at some point I've got to say you need some accountability and some responsibility here, and that you need to make a commitment to go get some help if you want this to go forward. And if not, you need to tell me so I can make some steps to go forward. And I just need to know how to have this conversation. And if things go forward the way I think they're going to go, how do I need to take those steps?
Okay. Tyler,
Buzz,
you want to start?
yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. Just before we dive into the subject too much, we've seen you a few times now, and your energy today is way different than the energy the other two times you've been on the show. What's that all about?
I think if I can read it the best, it's kind of more of a embrace kind of. I've embraced the suck a little bit, so to speak. Instead of, I guess you say I've lost a degree of hope that the marriage can come back
Yeah.
to be what it needs to, what I hope it can be. And I've realized that a lot is going to change, and I think I'm asking too much.
Okay. So
And
yeah,
there's been a lot of times that I like myself as I'm still doing internal work, learning that in a lot of my past, because I had a past betrayal happen to me, and my addiction was not always about me about a lust problem. It was a coping problem. It was me. It was a solution, not a problem. It was what I was using to cope with the feelings of unwantedness and unacceptable. And even now, I do other little things that are not necessarily bad. You know, mentioned I play guitar. I use guitar as a lot of time as a coping mechanism. I'm an avid fly fisherman. I recently took up fly tying, and I think I use that sometimes after a long day as a to go put my mind in another place to forget my problems. And I do that. I'm finding that even my eating habits reflect how my day went, and I'm starting to identify these things inside. And like you said, back on what my energy is right now is a whole bunch of just kind of accepted the way things are, and the way this what road I'm on right now, and there's a sadness there because I'm going to lose what's been so valuable, what I wanted for so long was, a wife and kids and a family. I'm not going to lose my family because my kids will still be there, but basically I'm going to choose to blow my family and blow my marriage up if I keep going
okay. So
because I'm going to have to make a stand to either pursue
it,
some happiness or stay where I'm at.
okay. So So there's a couple things I want to say before we get
Go
into
for it.
this is that, you know, Brannon and I, you're probably going to leave here having been pressed on a little bit. And
Yeah.
before we do the pressing, I just want to acknowledge that I see the pain you're in. I see and feel a sense of dejection. I feel a sense of sort of like almost like being resigned. I do sense a little bit of resentment towards your wife. And I just want to acknowledge that if any of those things are true, I see it.
Yeah.
And and those feelings are different than the feeling of actual surrender and acceptance, even though they might be a part of the pathway to get there.
Okay.
So if you're making your decisions from this dejected, hopeless, resigned place, that's not necessarily acceptance yet.
Okay.
Your heart's going to have to get to a place of peace to make that decision with confidence.
Yeah, I don't have the confidence. That's if I had the confidence that yeah, I'm doing the right thing, what's best for the relation for my kids, for me, then this would be a whole lot easier. I mean, I could move forward, but right now there's not peace. It's pretty much a lot of turmoil that
Sure. Well, the
Mi-
I'm
situation is
making a bad.
tumultuous.
Yeah.
Micah, I was gonna say exactly what Tyler just said. Um, does your wife need to be the bad person for you to move forward?
You place it that way in those terms, I would never acknowledge that she is, but it's somewhat if I want to sit here and be honest with myself, I think I've kind of put her not necessarily as being a bad person, but being a selfish person, kind of doing what's best for her singularly and what she claims is best for her kids, but I think is really what's best for her,
Oh,
regardless of what has happening to everybody else.
so you
So I
make
think I think I've already put her into that not necessarily bad, but kind of selfish category.
yeah, you make the judgment that she's acting out of selfishness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Your
and
arm is twisted into having to divorce her now be-
and
because she's the villain.
and now the troops are rallied, the kids are rallied and saying, Micah, like or Dad, like, yeah, like she sucks. And I mean, maybe they're not saying that, but kind of, right? There's, yeah, you're justified, you're validated, you're because she's selfish and she's not willing to do her own work. And what if something else is going on? What if you're able to move forward and move maybe out of this marriage, but not have to see her that way or be a victim to her? Is that possible?
I'd love for that to happen. I would love to to I think the healthiest thing would be to end for this to end in a friendly separation, a one where we can agree that this is the best thing, no hard feelings, shake hands, and agree that we need to parent from two different locations, but still be on, or we're not fighting ever about an issue every time we see each other. That's what I'd love to see happen. I mean, ideally, I'd love to see my wife wake up tomorrow and say, "I've been a real jerk to my husband. I've treated him like crap, and I'm going to change my life starting today." But I'm not naive enough to say that's going to happen.
You should go just buy some lotto tickets because you'd have a better
Yeah,
chance of that
I
happening
I
than
I know that's what I for a while honestly prayed. God, just wake up my wife, let her wake up today and say, "Oh, what have I been doing?" And I've just kind of realized that that's not how people work, and that's not how God works, and it's just not going to happen. It's been
Well,
too long.
let's I'm going to be annoying here for just a second,
Go for
Micah.
it, yeah.
Um from her standpoint, it's like, okay, I got this guy next to me who his energy is that he plays the victim to me. He sends me messages that I'm not doing enough of my own work. I'm not giving him what he wants. I'm not giving him the intimacy that he wants. She's not going to roll over and be like, "Hey, let's get it on." Like this is so attractive. um, she's not gonna like you have a part in that, Micah, of her snapping her fingers and being like, "I want you." To her, you're probably not that attractive, right? Now,
Probably.
I do you understand why? Do you understand why, like why I say that?
Well, except the fact that she's told me that she was straight up told me, yeah, okay, imagine yourself a third person looking on this relationship, and what would you think that you needed to be for me to be attracted to you? I was like, I have no earthly idea. I've been trying to figure that out for years. Give me some hints. She said, no, you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself. I'm not giving you the roadmap.
Right. So what Tyler and I are saying to you is a big one right now
Yeah,
because
go for it.
we're trying to help you figure out how to step into your power as a man and not fall back into this place of like victim and your trauma saying like I need to be justified to have these boundaries. I need to be justified to step away. No, you don't. You what you need is to really know yourself, trust yourself and act in truth, whether that's leaving her, whether that's staying. And that is independent of her. One thing that we're not seeing here at all is her fear and her pain. What we're seeing is selfishness or ambivalence to do the work or apathy or blame back at you, right? But the truth is that she's a human who is deserving of compassion, who has a lot of pain, and you can connect to that pain and still choose to move forward and move out of that relationship. And you can model to your kids how to love somebody in their pain, but still be a strong enough person to have your own healthy boundaries at the same time. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying, and I feel that right now, being that it's three and I've slept in the spare room for 3.5 years now.
Yeah.
Slept
Yeah.
separate apart. And it's every night feels like a betrayal. Every night when I poke my head in the door, say good night, have a good night, and trudge up the stairs, go to my room, feels like I'm taking the walk of rejection and every single night. So I have gotten to where I feel like I'm more in tune, more empathetic with her feeling like she was betrayed whenever I would act out, how she felt as being rejected when she'd know I had act out. I think I feel a little more in tune with that.
Yeah.
And but I guess part of what it's saying right now is, I mean, it's been a couple of months since we've had the conversation, and probably years since I've tried to initiate any kind of intimacy because I've just kind of like gave up on it. And since like I said, 6 months since we've talked about the relationship and that, and it's just kind of, I guess, is me of probably what the vibe you're getting from me is these conversations go nowhere. So I've just kind of gotten to the point of like, well,
Yeah.
screw
Yeah.
it. So why bother with it? Why worry about it? And I just started what's best for me in this relationship without stepping all over her feelings and her preferences. Like we talked about the worship guitar issue last episode, and I still do that. It's not like every Wednesday thing they'll send me a song list and the set list for Sunday, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know this song, and I'll just tell her, hey, on Tuesday tomorrow night I got church. We're playing this song on church, and if there's anything you need me to do before I go, if anything you need me to pick up, while I'm out, just let me know. But this is what's going on, and so I've respectfully own my own self
I
with
love
that
that.
kind of stuff. And like 2.5 years, almost 3 years ago, just me and my two boys went on a last minute 3-day camping trip. Literally, it turned into a catch and cook. We ate off a cardboard, and we ate
That's
whatever
awesome.
we ate trout we caught. We would a trout part, and it was kind of a last minute. We're leaving in 2 hours. Y'all grab your stuff, put it in the Honda. We're going.
I love
And
it.
we've talked about that for years. And the week after, first week of July, my dad was like, "Y'all do that again?" I'd love to make this a 3-generation trip. So I talked to him. We scheduled a date. He's a senior citizen, so he gets the discount. So he made all the reservations for the campground and agreed to bring his RV this time, so we don't have to bring the tent. And he made the reservations, and I walked in and said, "Hey, this is what's happening a month from now. Um, if there's anything that you would like to see happen before we do this, let's talk about it." And but I'm just letting you know ahead of time that me and the boys are gone on July the 7th. And yeah, I got some resistance. Well, what about this? What about that? I mean, when do we get to? I'm like, you just tell me when you guys want a girls trip, and I'll make it happen. I've never told you no if you want to go somewhere. So don't come to me saying, what about this? Whenever you've never asked. I mean, so I am stepping out, owning, making some moves to say this is real for me. This is what I want to do, or this is what the boys and I want to do. But
Micah, I
at
love.
the
Oh,
same
go ahead.
time, I'm trying not to step on everybody's feet and be empathetic. But at the same time, I've gotten to the point right now that I've kind of got more of the what do I want to do with my life kind of stage.
Okay, that's okay. So the energy that you're approaching this with is still got a little bit of a heart at war to it, even though you're doing some really decent things with your own recovery.
Yeah,
Um, and would you be willing to just kind of do a little exercise with me just for a second?
absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. Um, First, let's set the baseline that the decision that's being made is whether or not to stay or to go.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's say the decision is already made that it's right for you to go. Okay. We're not even going to try to change that decision right now.
Right.
Okay. So you're going to be leaving no matter what. Your wife has a therapy session in the same town as the other doctor's appointment and she misses it. What does that mean?
To me,
Yeah. What does it mean?
what did it feel like to me whenever
Yeah.
I found that
Yeah.
out? It meant to me that even though she was tired from going getting her teeth cleaned, I guess because I do things a little differently as a man, I've got something that needs to be done. I dig down deep and I find the energy to go do what needs to be done. But to me, it felt like the relationship that she and doing the work that she has admittedly out of herself, out of her own mouth, needs to be done for our relationship to move forward wasn't important enough to
Okay.
to to put out the effort that day that it needed to be,
Okay.
even though she did not feel like it.
Okay. That's your story. Boom. There it is. What's her story? Come up with three different stories that would be her stories if you were in her shoes.
I drove an hour to get to this dental appointment. Had to sit in the dentist's office for an hour to wait for the dentist to wait for my turn. Went in, got my teeth adjusted, my implant. She had the implant. She had to go get adjusted. I got my implant adjusted. By the time it was over, I was already been away from the house for 3 hours, and all I could think about is I need to get home. I need to get supper on.
Okay.
I got things to do, and right now, trying to go talk to somebody about my problems and about my hurts and my feelings is the last thing I feel like doing.
Okay.
That's
What
that's
if
what I would imagine it felt like.
that's possible that that could be the case. Could I throw another one in there that could be the case?
Go for it.
Man, I am clinging by a thread to this relationship. I know that I got to do some healing, but I'm afraid that if I go in and start opening up my feelings, number one, I won't be able to be as good of a mom as I try to be. I I'm really afraid that what I'll find is that I probably need to cut ties, and I don't really want to lose that relationship yet. And I don't even know if I have the emotional energy, and it's not even my fault. I shouldn't be having to go to therapy in the first place. And so now I've got all this on my plate, all this pressure to try to figure out how to save my marriage with problems that I now have that I can't seem to find the bottom of. And I can't feel safe enough to even go look at doing that work because I feel this pressure from my husband all the time. And he doesn't even realize that I'm trying to stay in the relationship. So the way I stay in the relationship is by not looking at the hell he's put me through because I don't know if I can tolerate it. Is it possible that she feels any of that?
I know she has felt that.
So I'm fighting for my marriage by avoiding the pain that I know I have to go through. Now, I'm not saying that's right, but it's possible that she's looking at it from such a different lens than you that you're feeling resentment when she might have good intentions. And what would happen if you were to step in, even though you're going to leave her, because we've already decided that's going to be the case, but you're able to step in with a ton of love and patience. And the next time she missed her therapy appointment, you were able to say, "Oh man, I see so much pain. And I realize that I'm still in the way because I've put all this pressure on you and because the focus is always on me and because your healing will probably never take place while I'm in the picture here. Like, dang it. Like, I'm sad. This is going to be really rough on both of us, but I love you and I want you to get the healing you need. And if I need to get out of the way, I will." What if your heart was at peace and you could love her as you made the decision instead of need her to be the problem because you're not getting enough and because you're getting rejected? What would it take to cultivate your heart into a space where you could see that and still follow through on whatever's right to do? I can see Brannon squirming, by the way. He probably wants to go a different direction than I just did. So, Brannon, feel free to chime in too.
No, I agree with you. I see it. I think that's what I was saying earlier, that exact same thing. But they're both are true. Here you go, Tyler. Here's the dialectic, right? Both can be true, Micah. That like you're sick and tired of betraying yourself. Like you betray your own truths and you settle for scraps in that relationship. This is what we talked about last time you're on, I believe.
Mhm.
Where how long are you going to go and not have good connection and intimacy in your life? How long are you going to go and have an unhealthy relationship? And inside your heart, you're not living your full life because you keep betraying yourself because you've been protecting this relationship, right?
Right.
And so you're sick and tired of that. And I'm glad that you're feeling that and that you're feeling like, hey, things have to change and I'm gonna be willing to do the hard things to have this change happen. That's a good thing, Micah,
Yes.
right? So on one hand, we have that. Um, what Tyler and I are trying to get you to see is that if you take this pattern of giving up your power and then needing to play the victim in order to justify your behaviors, if you take that out of this relationship, you'll take it right into your next relationships.
Yeah, no, no one does that.
You don't want to do that, right? You want to stay as a powerful man, a powerful partner who can step into his truths, but still practice love and compassion. And so, if you can both be honest with yourself about what your truths are, but be compassionate toward her and her pain, and not make up stories to be the victim, then you can absolutely step forward and move forward. There's some type of fear that says if I soften my heart and I love her for where she's at, there's something there that I don't know if it's then I might have to stay or like I don't know why that's hard. Um, but there's something there. What do you think, Micah?
I I don't know. I at one point saw that in her, and I'm sure it's still there to some degree. I've saw we're working doing this stuff, being on the other um online live recovery programs. We used to be on a subscribed live one where we did podcasts, live sessions 3 days a week. And I would come home after she'd been on one of those and just see the agitation, see the pain with having to look at the things. But I also saw the part that I also very much remember the part where that shell hardened and it got to where she confessed to me one time that she was going to her grandmother's for 2 weeks And she said during that 2 weeks, I had to make a decision to emotionally cut you out of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that that hurts me so bad to this day to realize that I'd put my wife in a point that the only way she could survive in the relationship was emotionally cut me out to where she did not care anymore. And she even to this time, even right now, I was we share a TV subscription with several family members, got a family plan outside of our home. And she asked me the other day, "Are you watching this show or is so and so else watching this show?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not watching that one." She said, "Well, it's got some content and I just wanted to make sure." Because right now, honestly, I don't give a shit what you watch. Just if you watch something like that, watch it on under another user so kids don't see it. But I really don't care what you do with your life anymore. And there's part of me goes, "Yes, you do," but then there's another part of me goes, "No, you really don't."
So are you okay being married to somebody, or to be in a relationship like that?
No, I'm
Right.
not.
That's pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess that's the part I want. How do I say that this has got to change? Even my daughter told me the other day. She said, "I feel like Mama would be happy if this just rocked on until every one of the kids was out of the house, and now you guys are two empty nesters, and then you have the time to go, okay, now what?" And in the meantime, just things to go happily along like they are with no change at all. She said, "I feel like Mama would be absolutely fine with that."
But so Buzz, you're getting some data in what she said when she said, "I've had to learn how to just shut myself off from you." Now that hurts, man. Like
Yeah.
nobody likes to be told that in a relationship. That's going to be like a gut punch that knocks the emotional wind out of you,
So it
right?
was.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think anybody who's human could avoid some of that happening. And that's going to hit all of your shame. That's going to hit all of your doubts. That's going to hit all of your rejection. It's going to hit all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Of course it did. And now what you have on your plate because of that is you've got to go take care of that shame through your shame resiliency work, reaching out to other people on your team, getting perspective, practicing self compassion, getting yourself strong again. But then what if you could come back and revisit what she said from a shame resilient place where you're no longer in your shame? What is the data that she just gave you? It's not about your
That
shame.
I understand. Well, excuse me. I understand that. That was like 7 years ago that happened, and what I have since reinterpreted that is, and I keep getting hurt enough by you that the only way I can protect myself is to emotionally not be attached to you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if that's the case, now you've come to this spot where she's given you that data point time and time again. You're going to be in a shame resilient place and you can see that. Do you see that you're actually agreeing with her now?
Hmm.
That it's like, dang it. Like I've gone and done some things and caused a ton of pain, so
Yeah.
much so that you don't even know how to go to give about getting started. And now I'm the one who's keeping you closed off, which means I'm not getting what I want, which is a healing process together. You're not getting what you want because for some reason my presence shuts you down. So, for my sake and for your sake, this guts me to say this, but I think it's time for us to look at something different.
And I see that very much. I was in denial. We can make this work. I think what you're talking about, you see a different energy. Well, since then, we had a week where just myself and my older son stayed home when she went on a trip with the rest of the kids. And he's almost 16. So it's just kind of like two dudes hanging out a week. And it took us 2 days to come to an understanding what was expected between the two of us. And the rest of the week was just like two best friends, living together in a house. We had a great time. And during that time, all of a sudden, I was responsible for everything. I was responsible for cooking the meals. I was responsible for doing laundry, keeping the house clean, going to work. I was, I don't know how to say it, but it was just kind of like I was all of a sudden finding myself at a liberty to make choices, make decisions myself instead of having to make decisions based on what somebody else. So what's how this is going to affect? What's she going to think about this? And there was a piece of me that matured, that became a man that week while I was by myself, and that blew apart 30 seconds after she walked in the door, and I became that inner child again. And because we had to run in before she 5 steps in the door, she looked around and said, "Well, so what'd y'all do all week? Just sit around?" Because the house wasn't ready for company. And all that besides the point, that's kind of got me with the place because that 1 week of me just growing and maturing by myself without interference, I realized that no, this is the man that I want to be inside, somebody who can think for himself, who has this strong, secure place. But I realize I'm not going to do that unless I'm by myself, which is the last thing I want to do is be by myself because I'm terrified of being alone.
Uh, I want to tell you a story real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
So I was working with a client years ago. They had a bunch of kids, this married couple, bunch of kids, and he same thing happened. His wife came to him and said, "I'm done with emotional connection with you. Um, move down to the basement, basically pay the bills, um, and take care of things. And I don't want to divorce you because we got these kids, but there's no real relationship here, right?" So
Exactly where we're at. We've
yeah.
had that very talk.
So there was like 10 guys in the group, and he'd come and he'd talk about his situation, and the group eventually just started like really pushing, like, "What are you doing? Like, what, how long?" Because he was full of resentment, sadness, rejection. Just felt used, felt taken advantage of, is how he felt. Um, and this went on for probably a year in group, and the group would push back, like, knowing full well that he was definitely not stepping up in his truths at home and modeling to his kids a weak man who was getting taken advantage of. Finally, he got the guts to step up and to make some hard decisions. And he was reading Michael Singer at the time and like doing a lot of his own work to try to let go of victim and try to have some compassion for her, and finally divorced her. And you know what happened? um, she amped up tenfold with attacking him as a horrible human being. She started manipulating things with the kids, started turning all the kids against him. So here's my point.
Mhm.
Um, he did. But guess what, Micah? He's absolutely happier now. He's absolutely at more peace now with himself. Um, but even though they got divorced, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden, like, they can't take your power. You can hand them your power forever. Divorce won't solve that. Do you
Right.
see, do you see what I'm saying? Um, and what really matters here, and the whole reason I'm telling this story, what really matters here is you finding your own inner peace. What really matters here is you trusting yourself and being resilient to her in terms of handing her your okayness. Do you see what I'm saying? Um, so I just want you to move forward, not from a place of anger and resentment, but from a place of finally stepping up for yourself and loving yourself, from a place of setting a good example for your kids. This is all about you. It's not about her, Micah, right? Do you see what I'm saying?
So I'm finally trying to get it because I've been making it
The
about her and like I didn't have any right to have an opinion or feelings in this at all. It was all because I was the screw up anyway. So I didn't want what right did I have to say I wanted to be happy? Because I ruined her happiness, and I'm
But you
kind of
know you have a
now
right.
I'm now at the point that I'm like, yeah, I do have the right. I do deserve
The,
to be happy again. But at the
the,
same time, and what you're saying about the resentment, yeah, I'll own that. I'm at the point right now. It's not as bad as it was. I went through a season though of being absolute just bitter with the resentment because I felt stuck, used, taken advantage of, betrayed. I mean, because what you described the scenario with that guy is exactly what's going on here.
But
I'm living upstairs. I'm the single income. I pay all the bills. I do. You know, like I sat down and I kind of listed off what things is she doing for me that I can't do for myself right now? And I thought to myself, there's nothing that she's not doing that I couldn't do for myself. And at the same time, what am I doing for her that she can't do for herself? And I'm like, well, everything she's got is because I gave it to her. And there's part of me that resents that she doesn't see that. I mean, and I see that and I'm struggling with it.
that exercise is a pathway to resentment and divorce for sure.
Yeah,
Let's start keeping tabs on who does what. Um,
yeah,
I like where Brannon's going, and I think maybe what we're seeing is that you've gone from one end of a spectrum of, well, I effed up, so I can never have a voice, and I just need to make sure she's always happy, this, that, and the other, and now all of a sudden you started doing your own growth into like, actually, I'm kind of worthy of a good life and love and belonging and having connection in relationships, and all of that is amazing work. The problem is the sticking point right now is who is Micah? Micah is a guy who cares deeply about people. He cares deeply about his responsibility to provide for his children. He's a guy who wants to care deeply and invest in a relationship with the woman that he's with. And your sticking point right now is you're coming to a realization that maybe your next direction is to split ways, but you're not keeping your heart intact with actually caring about her as you do it. And I suspect that
yeah.
the road you're on, if you could somehow see her humanity while also sticking true to the principle of who Micah is, then you'll be able to make those hard decisions with an added measure of peace, without as much resentment. And you may end up still having to get divorced, but you'll be able to then move through that divorce in a way where you're not fueling more of the bitterness that isn't you. That's not your natural self.
No, it's not.
No,
that,
not at all.
that's what I was gonna say. Is like Tyler and I are pleading to you, Micah, to operate from a place of love because you're that type of man. You've been hardened over the years. You have your trauma. There's been a lot of resentment, but you are a good man who creates good things and operates from a place of love. And we want you to step into that and maintain that even through something as difficult as this. Probably one of the most difficult things you'll ever do in your life. The next few months, right? Um, but you can do it in your power and not in your weakness.
Your power is loving.
Yeah, not from fear. So because we believe in you, Micah, and I'm just really grateful that you've come today. You know, we haven't resolved anything. I've pushed you hard because I believe in you. We've come at you trying to get you to see this because we think you're the man. So um, I'm glad to hear that you're ready to make some steps forward, that you're not okay with what things are, and you're listening to that. Um, so you have done a lot of good work. I think there's some more to go in terms of getting your heart in the right place. So, Micah, any last thoughts for us?
What's on your heart, Micah?
Um, I think you guys have kind of shined a light on where I'm operating from right now. I'm operating from a hardened, resentful place of I've let the abuse just bounce off me too long, and I finally got to a place where I'm just decided I'm tired of taking it. But I think it's that while standing up for myself is a good thing, I think I'm doing it in the wrong spirit and attitude.
Yeah.
And yeah, but man, you've made me look across the bridge to what the relationship is going to be after the split. And I think with the attitude I've got right now, it's not possible to have a positive separated relationship where the kids aren't going to get the brunt of she's a jerk, he's a jerk kind of attitude. And I'm going to take him for everything he's got, and she's not getting a thing from me, and all that's going to ensue. I would, I want it still to be a relationship where the kids feel love from both sides.
Love it.
You're the man, Micah.
So I need to figure out now how to get to that place
Mhm.
where I'm still empathizing, still caring about the people around me, and at the same time knowing this is deep down, even though this hurts, this is what's going to be what's the best thing for everybody.
Well, we recommend this all the time, Micah, but the book The Anatomy of Peace would be a great listen for the spot you're in right now.
Okay.
The Anatomy of Peace by the Arbinger Institute. It's gonna speak to how to have the right kinds of heart when you're setting your boundaries, and
Okay.
how to help things go right, even if you have to make a hard decision. And I think that's you're right there. I mean, I can hear it. Like Brandon and I have interacted with you enough to know that you got a heart of gold, and it's kind of painful, I think, for me and maybe for Brandon to see you in this other space that isn't really you most of the time. And you're there because of some true principles that you're learning, but now we've got to figure out how to get the poison out of it and merge the two together of who is Buzz with the new learning that he's had. Right.
All right.
And you're there. You're moving that direction. So
It's been a really good discussion, and just really appreciate you being vulnerable here with us. And we'd love to have you on again, see how this goes moving forward. The story doesn't end here, right?
I'm sure I'll
Um,
be back.
love to have you back anytime. And I'll call you Micah. I'll call you Buzz, whatever you want. But when you're back, so
Mike is fine. I mean, or actually, in light of this, I mean, Buzz is cool now too, because Buzz was the first nickname she ever gave me after we got married.
oh, interesting.
She gave me her my first do-it-yourself haircut, from your wife. Those are always epic.
Yeah.
And she forgot to put the guard on, and she literally gave me a reverse mohawk down the middle. So the barber shop had to literally cut it off at a quarter of an inch, and I always had this really nice hair, in my life. So that was the first time I looked like a cocklebur. So
I
and
love it.
so she was like, "You look buzzed," and whenever I came home and got a kick out of it, and she little notes that she found her. I cleaned out my attic this week. That's the project I'm working on before the fishing trip, and I found it was kind of sad because I found all the little souvenirs she had saved up in the attic from our dating. We used to work at a restaurant together, so we used to get to hang out, and I used to write notes on the bottom of the styrofoam cups that she'd have at the end of the night. And I found a bag up there with the bottom of every single cup that I'd written on.
Mm,
wow.
And it's just finding that kind of stuff, and I started to take them down and leave them on her pillow. But I was like, no, that would be mean. I'm not going to do
mm,
that. But it's just, like there's part of me that just says, what do I got to do to get back to that? But the reality part of me says, you're not going to.
not reality.
Yeah. Thanks so much,
Well,
guys.
have a
I
gr-
gave me a lot to think about and to work on, and until next time, God bless.
Thanks, Micah. And to anybody listening, if this struck a chord, then just uh, just send some good energy Micah's way, and you know, uh, come on the show. We'd love to have you too, and we can talk through things. So, and until next time, keep on keeping on.